everybody, Lord Tremendous here. Got another book review here for you. This is book 12 of the Persolus Race, the collection of short stories. This one is called The Mine. It's written by Andrew P. McGregor. It's still science fiction, still published August 26, 2021, and this one came in at 33 pages. Again, full disclosure, I consider Andrew a friend. We talk a lot online and stuff. We met similar through my channel and stuff like that, and through some groups that we're in on Facebook. That did not change the way I reviewed his book or anything like that, but again, I try to base my channel off integrity, so I just want to make sure everybody understands that might be listening that yes, I do consider Andrew a friend. We do communicate outside of the review channel, but in no way did it affect my review of his story whatsoever. I got a lot to say, as always, so let's get into it. So the main character in this one is a lady named Sarah Littlefield, and she is a researcher type doctor, older lady. She lost her arms in a terrible accident. It does not really say what happened other than it seemed to be some sort of driving accident. She was in a speeder or something like that that seemed to malfunction. It's a short story. I don't expect it to go into that or anything like that, but bottom line is the author did go ahead and explain that the character, Sarah, has missing arms and that have been replaced by cybernetic implants. Now, does that make her a second-class citizen? Does that make her less authoritative than anyone else? Per the last story, it should, but no, apparently not. In fact, she's the leader of this crew of 4. There's basically 3 others. One is another regular human being and named Morgan, and there's 2 others, Blue Chips or something like that, and Jose. And it's kind of cool because like the other 2 humans, one is kind of crab-like and the other one is kind of fish-like. And the reason for that is all explained in the book. This author does an amazing job with world building and everything like that. And the first 15, 20 pages of this 33-page story is world building. And we'll get into that in a second, but it's amazing. Like, he crafts worlds and an environment and stuff like that you want to be in because it's so well articulated, so well thought out. And the 2 characters, the 2 type of humans, because they're not aliens, but the 2 type of humans that are different, super cool. Like, I love the concept, I love the idea, I love the way they're integrated, I love the way they're explained. But in a short story, might have been a little bit too much. That's for each reader to decide. But the plot in this one is Sarah and her team of 3 others, so a total of 4, got a random message from somebody, they didn't know who, claiming to have unearthed an alien artifact. So without asking for proof or pictures or video or anything like that, at least not that's talked about in the story, they literally set sail across the universe to a galaxy or to the solar system where this artifact supposedly is. They take no precautions. They've got no military escort. They've got no governmental escort. They do have a safety officer, but honestly, they're probably the most useless character out of all 4 of them, which is a shame because it's the fish person, and it would be really cool to see Flipper just snap. The potential was there. Cover is great. We've already been over that. Editing, no problem. No issue whatsoever. This was edited very well. I saw one word. It should have been the singular tense, and it was a plural tense. It was the letter S. Not a big deal at all. One mistake in 33 pages, easily forgiven, easily overlooked. Story flow was great, beginning to end. The author's got great story flow, and the feel of the story, I like the voice they use when they write stories. Like I said, I know this author, we talk outside of the reviews. Didn't affect anything, but I do really like his work, and this one was no exception when it came to just his pure ability to write a story. Pros of this book, the editing was really good. The crew construction, how he put the team together and how they're all different was really amazing. I didn't expect that. Most of these other stories have been, oh, they have dark skin. Oh, they have light skin. Oh, they have slanted eyes. Oh, they have round eyes. I mean, it wasn't, not that that's like a huge big deal or anything like that, but when you go that extra mile and you create new, for lack of a better way to put it, mutated races, especially in a science fiction book like this, they're still human, but he's introducing alien tendencies to them. Maybe I mean, it's just it opens up a lot of possibilities in mind. I like it a lot, and the way he goes about it, the way he created these new subspecies, I guess that's kind of rude. These different species of humans was really cool. So I like that a lot. It was neat seeing the author explore old tech. There's a lot of to us it would be almost magic, but considering it's like 1,000 years old and it's the year 3600 or something like that, to us it would be 600-year-old technology in the future. To us it would blow our mind, but to these individuals the author is aware of what year it is. So to see something from the year 2600 in the year 3600 is primitive to them, and they kind of talk disdainfully, exactly the way we would, if we saw something from like the 1000s or whatever. It'd be worth a decent penny, but we would be like, yeah, I don't really need that or anything. But it is cool to see. I like that a lot. This is one of the first authors in this entire collection of stories that has acknowledged the year in like the characters have in the year. Like they run into something and it's, to them it's nothing, but to us it would just be mind-blowing. It's very cool. It's very cool. I like the concept of a mined out, stripped solar system. I mean, it's just barren. The crew goes into a solar system and all the planets have been completely strip mined. There's nothing of value left in this solar system. There's an issue with that as well, I'll get into in a second, but the idea that an entire solar system has been strip mined is super cool. I mean, not because I want to do that. That's horrible. But you know what I mean, though? Just the environment. Like I said, the world building, or in this case, the solar system building that this author does is very cool, very attention detailed and focused, and he paints a really vivid picture. I love it. And the revenge that the main character gets at the end of this story was pretty badass. I mean, all the end game stuff, it was the most human reaction I've seen in any of the stories so far. I really liked it a lot. There are some cons, though. There's too much world building, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. This is nitpicky, but it's a 33-page story, and the first 10, 15 pages are world building. This is the world we're in. This is the people. This is where they come from. These are their hopes and dreams. These are why they have these different things. Some of it absolutely is necessary. I don't disagree, but I feel that it went a little too far in the world building. I didn't need to necessarily understand the drive for the supporting characters. Sarah, sure, but the other three, I need to know their origin. I need to know what they look like. Letting me know why they look like that and why they're not aliens was awesome. But after that, I didn't need to know their hopes and dreams. I didn't need to know all the details. I didn't need to know why, for example, their security officer joined them, or how they joined them and stuff like that. It's just, this would be fantastic for a full-length novel or even a novella. I could get there, but for a short story that's 33 pages long, has to be, in my opinion, a lot more concise. And I feel that the rest of the story suffered because the author used the majority of the story to have the pages that they had to create their world, to create their universe that this story stays in, and to flesh out their characters a little bit more than is necessary for a short story. Just my opinion. Please don't take it as law. If you don't mind, click the link below, buy the book, read the story, come back, let me know what you think. Was it too much, too little, somewhere in between? Love to have a conversation. Solutions to the problems that they ran into were a bit too convenient way too often. I didn't like the issues that they faced, the problems that they encountered, while a little bit obvious, at the same time, it was cool. It was like, all right, this is a puzzle, but they hit the easy button every single time, and it was frustrating because it took all the build up and all the suspense, and it was kind of like a fart. It wasn't good. I hate to be crude. I don't hate it, but you know what I mean? It's just, it was really disappointing. I would have loved to see the author make their characters have to figure stuff out a lot more clever than they did. I hate it when it feels like the author either just kind of phoned it in or wrote themselves into a corner and didn't know how to get themselves out of it, so they just Deus Ex Machina, the whole thing. And it really bothered me because I feel like these characters were built up to be super intelligent and cutting edge and outside the box thinkers, and what ends up happening is stumbling, lying ridiculousness, and it was kind of like a gut punch, and I was really disappointed. Um, the main bad guy's name is Maxwell Smith, and he's an 1800-year-old hermit, and there's a ton of reasons why he's so old and why he's on the planet and everything like that. I'm sure you could figure it out just from what the clues I've been giving you, but I'm trying not to give any huge spoilers. But it's frustrating how easily he's fooled. I mean, elementary school type of stuff. Like, oh, well, they're telling me this, so it must be true. It's just, especially when you find out like this guy's reputation and stuff. He's known as the Mad Captain. And basically, I mean, he skunked an entire crew, and he took over in Eden and was able to reprogram it to do what he wanted it to do. I mean, he hijacked a skyscraper that, terraforms planets on a whim. This guy is a cybernetic genius, or a cybersecurity genius, and is able to do all these things. But the other problem I have with the Mad Captain is it states in the book that after he was dealt with by the government, all records of him were erased. So how does anybody know who he is? And why would you just immediately assume that he is this Mad Captain just because he claims it? Yeah, I mean, sure, it turns out to be true, but it's just, he's a legend. He's like a myth at this point, right? He's 1,800 years old. This would be like, I don't know, meeting a pharaoh. It's like, okay, granted, we have proof that pharaohs existed, but this would be a pharaoh that never existed. But somehow everybody knows about him. It'd be like the Boogeyman or something like that. Oh, well, we're on the moon and we're in a cave and we found somebody and they claim to be the Boogeyman, and that sits with me. That's got to be who it is. Not a chance. You'd sooner believe it's Santa Claus. So that eats at me a little bit. Again, it's a plot hole, and it's a pretty glaring one. So that one, again, was kind of a slap in the mouth. And honestly, they didn't. This is a big spoiler, and I apologize for that, but he needs their ship, but it doesn't make any sense why. And I'll get more into that in a minute, but he had a ship. I don't get it. And that's what I was talking about before. The author spent so much time on character building and world building that the plot and climax of the story was really phoned in. It was like they ran out of pages and just had to kind of shore everything up in the end real quick and a nice neat bow without really explaining anything. And it's just sloppy storytelling. It's unacceptable, and that's why it's a con. It was a letdown. I really wish it would have been a better motivation, or a better described motivation. I know I complain a lot. It's my thing. That's the whole point, really, is to point out the things that I dislike, so that the authors can hopefully use it to improve their writing, even if they don't agree with everything. If they take one thing that improves their storytelling, then the entire video has been worth it. In this situation, for this book, I didn't dislike it at all. I mean, not even close. But it wasn't one that I was super in love with, and that was not because it's a poorly written story. It's just because it was kind of phoned in at the end. The character growth, the world building was great, phenomenal, as always with this author. But the plot, the conflict resolution, and the end, the climax and the end, were real letdowns, like a wet fart. It's just not what I was hoping for, or even honestly what the story deserved. So in the end, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And the reason for that is, as I've already stated, it's not awful. I did find myself enjoying it, but it would be a lie if I said that I liked this story. I almost liked the story. I really started off the first 15 pages or so, 20 pages, however many it was that he was doing the world building and the character development and everything like that. I really got into that, but that's when it was after that I started to realize, oh no, they wasted half the story building stuff up and forgot about the plot. And you could tell because things really start getting wrapped up in a neat, pretty bow, and these should be a lot more complex problems and stuff like that than they. It required more thought and more cleverness in order to solve than what ends up happening, and we'll get into that in just a second. But 3.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't like the book, but I almost liked it, or the story anyway, and that's the most honest review I can give. This part of the review is going to be full-blown spoilers. I'm going to ruin everything. If you don't like that, please pause the video, go down to the description, click the link, buy the book, and check it out yourself. Read the story, come back, watch the rest of this review, and let me know in the comments what you thought. Did I nail it? Was I way off or somewhere in between? Love to have a conversation. So, like I said, in the beginning, Sarah Littlefield is the captain of an exploration crew. I mean, to just kind of water it down to its basic essence, she's the leader of this crew. She's driving the boat, and she's the one that's in charge. Everybody takes their orders from her. She's a archaeological type of doctor, researcher, whatever you want to call her, and she's got a team of 3 people with her in order to go and meet this individual that claims they have unearthed an alien artifact in an old mine in a barren solar system. Again, zero proof, zero video, zero pictures, nothing to prove that this individual's claim is real. This is the year 3600 fishing attempt evolved. I mean, that's really what it is. I am a Egyptian prince that has $35 million. I need to deposit into your account. I need your credit card information. And they sent it. Only instead of a credit card, they grabbed their massive mountainside purple spaceship and flew it over across the galaxy to the solar system to meet with this guy on the super unlikely chance that he really had an alien artifact. I've got to believe that somebody, a group of people this educated, this worldly, this experienced would just take some random word that, oh yeah, I found an artifact, a sentence or two, a paragraph or two of pictures that was being sent to them, or some sort of video or a sample, something that would have got them to go, oh, okay, yeah, we should definitely go ahead and travel for months through space in order to go check this out. There's no way. There's no way. It would be equivalent to me reaching out to you right now and saying, I've got a Porsche in my garage right now. It's all yours. Don't ask me for proof. Don't ask me anything else. I need you to drive from Florida to California to come pick it up, though, as soon as you can. Okay, smooches. And you grab 3 of your buddies, jump into your minivan, and start traveling from Florida to California with no other proof required. That's how unbelievable the plot is here, and that's one of my biggest issues here. So, like I said, they go to this really cool, described barren solar system. I mean, it's just a dead solar system that was mined, clear hundreds of years ago by humans, and it's horrible. Don't get me wrong, but the idea, a desolate solar system because of humanity's greed. Super cool environment. Like I said, this author can come up with some amazing worlds to explore, and I hope he designs a video game like an MMO or something, because I would get lost. My entire life would be wasted because all I do is explore his worlds. They land on the planet, no problem, and meet a bunch of old prison guard androids. Basically, for lack of a better way to put it, they look like skinny Terminators. The real thin metal, they emaciated Terminator T-100 is basically what they look like. But the problem with this is they almost immediately recognize these androids as prison guards. And nobody thinks twice about that. Like, they're like, oh, these look like old prison guards. Doop-de-doo. That's it. No other issue whatsoever. These shouldn't be here. We have no records to indicate that this was a prison or any kind of jail or whatever. Why are there dozens, if not hundreds of these things? And who's running them? Who's been maintaining them? They run into this guy. I mean, no precautions. In fact, Sarah forbids their safety monitor to bring a pulse rifle with them. He does ask. The character does say, if you would let me bring a pulse rifle, maybe we'd be better protected. And Sarah goes, no, we don't want an interstellar incident again. And it's like, I don't care. That is ridiculous stupid. If this guy's such a hot shot or a hothead that he's going to shoot first and ask questions later, maybe find someone else, but you definitely arm yourself, especially when you're greeted by a small army of repurposed prison guard androids. The fact that none of them, other than, granted the safety officer was worried, but the other three to not be concerned at all is pinnacle ridiculousness. Absolutely no way. No way that would just be like, whatever, we're here to get my Ferrari. They take zero precautions. They don't leave anyone behind. They don't lock the doors to their spaceship. They don't radio anywhere and say, we've met with Maxwell Smith and he's taken us down into the mines of Moria or anything like that. Nope, nope, just lead the way. The cave says free puppies and I like me some puppies. So yeah, Max shows up and he's a disturbed, obviously evil old man. The only thing missing from the trope that is this old man is a wooden sign hung from his neck that says bad guy. Super obvious, and the author does an amazing job making him not only disgusting and decrepit, but your skin crawls every time that you read about him, just because of, like, he's coughing phlegm everywhere, he spits in his helmet of his mask like it's nothing. Dude is gross, like, at a whole new level. It's magnificent character building. Really, like, I never want to meet Max ever because I would throw up. He's a gross dude. But they follow him no problem whatsoever. The most just ignorant, blind group of people you've ever met in your life follow this old man into an abandoned mine. Deep into an abandoned mine, no less. I mean, come on! Do parents not teach their kids? Don't just go into strange places with strangers. That's how the murder happens. So yeah, they go deep into the mines of the planet following this guy. No precautions taken whatsoever. And of course, it's a trap. The artifact is an old spacecraft. It's pre-light speed and all that other stuff. But it's a spacecraft. It's just not working right now. And it's under a bunch of rocks and stone. But here's my thing. Spoilers, Max called these people here under false pretenses because he wanted their spaceship, because he wants off the planet. He's been there for 1,800 years. He was captured. He is the mad captain or whatever he claims to be. There's really no way to prove it because the author also puts in the book that all records of the Mad Captain were erased, so how they know about this guy whatsoever is beyond me. Sure, they may have some stories and stuff like that, but that would be like finding a cave with Santa Claus in it and believing that the old man was Santa Claus because he's got a red jacket on. Just, it's a little bit of a stretch. But yes, this 1,800-year-old person, and again, it kind of vaguely describes like how it could be possible that he's still alive, but even in the description, it's unlikely. And the author states that, so it's hard for me to suspend disbelief there. It's like, how is this guy almost 1,800 years old? How is he that old and still functioning at all? Explain that a little bit more. Otherwise, again, it's the Boogeyman, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But anyway, the reason he's there is because he wants to take their spacecraft, and he monologues about it. I've done my time. I've been here, blah, blah, blah. And the crew, knowing that he's trying to hijack their ship, because he's already stated as much, just kind of look at him. Okay, well, thank you for telling your story, but we don't want you to do that. And he's like, yeah, don't care, guards attack. And then he goes, he was kind of like a slower, hunchback old man, but man, all of a sudden, he's got wings, and he starts sprinting down the hallway, and he's able to get away from everybody, and his android army, the dozens of prison guard androids, start attacking the crew. They get a hold of one of the regular humans, Morgan, I think, and kind of squeeze the hell out of her neck, and how she survives is beyond me, because a second later, one android out of the dozens attacks Sarah and grab her by her cyber-implanted arm. And Sarah realizes that the grip is so strong on her cybernetic arm that if it was a regular arm, it would shatter the bone. This is the same grip that was just used on her counterpart's neck, who is not cybernetic, at least it's not stated that they are, but somehow their neck isn't crushed by this grip and they're just knocked out and need medical attention. I feel like that's cheating a little bit, because you've set the precedent for how strong these androids are and how violently and how lethally they're attacking you. But for some reason, when they have the opportunity to kill a character, they don't. That's plot armor, and that is unacceptable. That's no good. You've got to come up with a better reason on why the android could have crushed the bones, pulverized the bones in a normal person's arm, but your counterpart's neck is totally, I'm not fine. They're down, they're hurt, they need medical attention, but they're not just dead. Their throat isn't crushed, their spine isn't ripped out. It's a little, you've set the precedent. It's like you need to explain why the android's not killing everybody. Another problem is the androids attack one at a time. Sarah's cybernetic implanted arms equate in this book to superhuman strength. Basically, she's Supergirl. And okay, I could get there, but they're her arms. It's just like she punches through them, she rips their heads apart using the strength of her cybernetic implants and all that. I can get there. It's not the worst trope that I've ever seen. It's just, you've seen no reason to believe that prior to this, so it feels a little shoehorned, but I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. It just kind of bugs me a little bit. The main problem, though, is the androids wait their turn and attack them one at a time. And to be perfectly honest with you, the author forgets about the safety crew member, the fish guy. Like, why he's not ripped apart and filleted is beyond me, because Sarah is ripping the robots apart one at a time. Their other counterpart, Morgan, is down, and the crab guy or girl goes running after Max in order to stop him from closing the hatches and locking them in this mine or whatever, which I can get there. So Sarah is left to herself, basically, to fight off all these androids with her bare hands. And it's not like the fish guy has a weapon or anything like that, nor does he have cybernetic implants or superhuman strength or anything, but somehow he's able to fend them off, long enough for Sarah to come and rescue him. It's sloppy, it's messy, and it could have been done a lot better. The author knew this fight was coming. The fish person should have smuggled a weapon in. Oh, sorry, didn't tell you, but turns out I was right. We'll talk about this later. That'd have been fine. But the fact that he's just a ninja and is able to thwart off these guards, these are prison guard androids. They are programmed and created to deal with much worse prisoners than this individual, than anybody on this non-combatant research crew. I don't care how good the safety officer is. I don't care how high-tech Sarah's cybernetic implants are. They would have ripped everyone apart. This should have been a much shorter story. So when it comes to stuff like that, when you set all this precedence, especially in a short story, you need to give a better excuse on why they aren't ripping them all apart. And and another thing is showing that she's cybernetic. And I don't believe this is this author's fault. I believe it's a previous author's fault. But since she's got cybernetic limbs and everything like that, is she considered a second-class citizen? Because the previous Cyborg in the last story was considered a second-class citizen, did not have all the rights as a regular human would. The other question is the two mutated, for lack of a better way to put it, humans, the crab and the fish person. Are they considered second-class citizens? Is this a Motley Crew? I mean, what is they spent all this time, and again, I don't believe it's this author's fault, because I don't believe this author knew what the previous author was going to write about and change the lore and everything like that. But the problem with that is this is a compilation of a bunch of stories that were supposed to be, a group effort, which means everybody should have been in line and understand what lore and what rules they were going to set up for everyone else so that things like this don't happen. So now I don't know, is Sarah really in charge, or do they have any kind of approval? It's a lot of questions that get brought up. Yes, it's me being nitpicky, 100% very true, but it still creates plot holes in future stories now, because it's canon now, it's in the lore, and so when the other stories don't adhere to that, it raises questions and raises problems. So anyway, Sarah's able to defeat most of the androids, and then the safety fish guy pulls out an EMP. Why he has an EMP on him is anyone's guess. But again, it comes down to my previous complaint that it's too convenient on how they solve everything. All of a sudden, the fish guy has the exact right device on him that he uses, and it shuts everything down. But it's only a minor inconvenience because they're able to reset their suits and reset Sarah's cybernetic stuff in like moments. It's not even minutes, it's moments. So Blue Cat, the name of the crab that's chasing after Max, to stop him from getting hatched, they lose contact with her. They can't communicate with her. So Sarah, after getting her cyber stuff turned back on, goes chasing after her and finds that Blue Cat was attacked by a whole bunch of androids all at once and got eviscerated, got murked. Like, eyes are missing, limbs are removed. But before she died, and she was able to kill all the androids that were around her except for one or two, which Sarah dispatches pretty much without any issue. But before Blue Cat dies, she's able to jam some of her crab legs into the hatch, which stops it from closing. Okay, heroic, and then she dies. The author does allow Blue Cat to die in Sarah's arms. The fact that Sarah takes the time to hold Blue Cat and wait for her to die, and that doesn't equate to Max taking off in their ship, blows my mind a little bit because he's got such an incredible head start on all of them. But again, it just feels like sloppy storytelling here because it's just too much time would pass. Even if Blue Cat dies right away, there's still the deal with the hatch. And the hatch thing is very interesting because it's not all the way shut. There's a small gap. The gears are grinding. Author does a great job of building up that suspense, that huge problem that Sarah has to circumvent. She tries to use her strength to open it up, and thankfully wasn't able to just overpower the mechanism with her cybernetic implants. But what ends up happening is she sticks her hand through to try to reach whatever button is on the other side to try to make it release. She has no idea where this button is. She has no idea if the button exists, but, you know, she's desperate. She's grabbing at straws. I have no problem with that. Well, something happens where things shift and the door closes on her hand enough that it severs her hand, her cybernetic hand, from the rest of her arm. It hurts a lot, it's kind of cool. The author basically makes it so that the character turns off the pain receptors in that hand. But then it's one of those convenience things. All of a sudden, now that her arm has been literally torn off, pinched off by this door, it's on the other side of the hatch, right? Well, she's able to remote into her arm, the severed arm, their hand or whatever, and then move it around like the thing in order to find this button and basically open the hatch. And that is a huge problem for me because what? Why is that even an option? Why is that even a feature on their on the cybernetic limbs? Is that something that happens so often? Limbs get removed so often, cybernetic ones no less, that you have to be able to remote in and function. Doesn't that seem like a huge security risk? Like, if you can just remote in, no problem, why can't anyone else and make you do horrible things? I mean, it's just, could I remote into your arms and have them detach from the rest of your body and come talk to me? Because that's just a weird thing to do. If that was the design, if that was something that was an intended feature, in my opinion, the author should have just made it so that Sarah removed her hand because, you know, it likes quick releases or something, and then she's able to remote it through the door in order to find the button and push it and get out of there. The next question is, how in the hell can she see what the hand's doing? Did they put Eyesight in there, some sort of radar? Again, it's too convenient. It feels like the author was like, well, crap, how do I open the hatch door now? I wrote myself into a corner, and okay, it can be remoted into. I mean, yeah, is it visually cool? Sure, but does it make any sense, you know, in the plot? Absolutely not. And the way it happens, I mean, you're able to just sever the limb, but it still works remote, no problem whatsoever. What did you break off? Like, is everything in there just vestigial and it's all done with the power of plot magic? It really bothered me a lot because I feel like this could have been a really cool moment. It was just not approached the right way, and the way it was approached, it wasn't even clever. It was just, there was no way anything was going to stop her because she could have been blown up, but she would have suddenly been explosion proof or something. It's really frustrating. I don't like it. It's sloppy storytelling. So anyway, Max gets to the ship, and it's wide open. It requires no issue. He has no problem accessing it, going straight to the pilot's deck. This is a ship the size of a mountain. Okay, Max has been on this planet for 1,800 years. This would be like us jumping on the Predator ship and being able to find exactly where the pilot seat is within minutes, and knowing how to turn it on and run everything and go. 1,800 years from now, the language might not even be the same. Are you kidding? 1,800 years ago from right now, the language was not the same. Okay, you would not walk into the Pharaoh starship and understand what the little buttons and symbols meant, any more than Max probably would. I got a real problem with that. But yeah, he gets into this mountain spaceship, finds the pilot seat, no problem, and is ready to go. He's turned the ignition, the engines are running, and he's ready to GTFO. And what ends up happening is somehow, when she opened the hatch door, she also got their communication systems running again. They're able to reach out and talk to this AI that's on a probe that they left circling a moon for whatever reason. And they get a hold of Max and they say, "Don't leave us behind." And he's like, "Chew rocks, I'm out." And they're like, "If you do, our military escort's going to blow you up." So he scans where they tell him to scan, and he's immediately able to detect that it's a probe. It's not a military escort at all. So they lied to him. They've already set up that precedence. Max knows they set that precedent, that it's not a military escort. But for some reason, instead of just saying, "haha, bye," he reaches out to talk to the probe. He hails it, opens a communications channel, and of course the AI answers and threatens Max. "Don't leave my people behind. If you hurt my babies," she calls them her babies, "then I will hunt you down and kill you." And Max is like, "AIs can't kill people. They can't harm humans." And the AI goes, "Most can't, I can." Again, that convenience factor. The AI could have been lying, but Max just believes her. Because Lisa, the AI, shows him some imagery of her in a white suit killing humans. Has no reason at all to believe that it's real. Has no reason to believe that at all that it's fake, but it's unlikely. Everything that he knows, the world that he's living in, AIs can't hurt humans. And this one acknowledges that. Yes, most can't, but I can, and I will hunt you down. Even if it takes me 100 years, I'll find you. This is the guy that survived almost 2,000 years on a barren planet surrounded by androids. He not only killed every member of his crew on the ship, but he hijacked, reprogrammed, and conquered an Eden back in the day. 100 years to figure out a way to overcome a murderous AI? That does not sound like a stretch for this guy. So why that would intimidate him at all blows my mind. He would have been like, "Catch me if you can," and we'd have had Taken 4000. It would have been really cool. And everyone on the planet would have been, well, I mean, Lisa would have just gone, found some help, and then they got off the planet. It's not like they had real issues there other than the androids, which are very easily dealt with. But Max believes the AI, leaves the ship without any further protest, and just is standing there on the surface of this planet as Sarah, Morgan, and Fish Dude get on the planet, taking their dead comrade with them. But that's it. That's it. They're just like, "We're done. Bye." But it is kind of cool that Sarah gets the last middle finger in the end. As she's taking off, she aims her thrusters at the planet's surface and floors it, basically just nuking the entire thing, including Max. It was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was the most human reaction I've seen in any of these stories so far. But yeah. So it was cool. It ended on a strong note, but how they got there, like I said before, it's way too convenient. It's really, really convenient in a lot of places. And the characters that the author developed do not react properly. It just doesn't make any sense why they would do any of this. And that's a shame. That's a shame. Take 7 more pages and come up with some justifications. A 40-page short story is not a long story. That would be fine. And I think with just those a little bit of tweaking here and there, a little bit more clever problem-solving abilities by the crew, and this is a 5 out of 5 star. Hands down, no problem whatsoever. But with that all being said, my rating stands 3.5 out of 5 stars for all the reasons I've already gone over. Yeah, but like I said, this is one person's opinion. Please, please, please don't think that my word is law. Click the link in the description below, buy the book, read the stories, come back, and let me know what you thought in the comment section. I would love to have a conversation about it. And there we go, another book review in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comments section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. And as always, thanks.